Let's make some Nigerian food. Today we're going to be making beef stew and fufu from scratch. As a Jamaican, this is my very first attempt at making Nigerian food. I've always been fascinated and I love the culture. So we're going to be making it together, and at the end I want you to rate out of 10 how you think I did. Let's cook. We're going to start off by seasoning and boiling our beef. To season our beef, we're going to be using Maggi all-purpose seasoning, garlic powder, black pepper, and curry. We're going to mix that together, and we're also going to be adding half of an onion and garlic. Then we're going to put about 1.5 cups of water, and we're going to allow that to boil for 10 to 15 minutes. While we wait for our beef to boil, we're going to go ahead and start prepping our vegetables. For my vegetables, I'm going to roast them before I blend them. So to a baking pan, I'm going to add 2 bell peppers, 2 red bell peppers, 2 medium to large tomatoes, 2 medium onions, 1 Scotch bonnet pepper, and about 3 or 4 pegs of garlic. I'm going to put that in my oven at 350 for about 8 to 10 minutes. Once that time has passed, we're going to remove our vegetables from the oven, and we're going to blend that until it's still a bit chunky, not too smooth, but we're going to blend it for about 2 minutes until it's nice and chunky. Once we have the consistency that we desire, we're going to pour that into a bowl, and we're going to set that to the side for now. At this point, our beef should be done boiling, so we're going to go ahead and remove our pieces of beef from the pot, and we're going to save that beef stock for later. All that boiling, that seasoning, and that goodness is still in the water, so we're going to set that to the side because we're going to be using that for our stew later on. Next, we're going to go ahead and we're going to pan fry our beef. We're not going to let that fry for too long, but we just want our beef to be nice and brown on each side. So we're going to heat up some oil, and then we're going to shallow fry our beef for about 2 minutes on each side until it is nice and brown. And then we're going to remove that pot, and we're going to start making our stew. Once our beef is done frying, we're just going to remove the beef from the oil because we're going to continue using this oil for our stew. So I'm going to remove my pieces of beef, and then I'm going to pour in my onion and my garlic. I'm going to saute this until my onion is translucent. At that time, I'm going to go ahead and add in my tomato paste, and I'm going to let that roast for a little while. So I'm just going to mix in my onion and my garlic and then into my tomato paste, and I'm going to let that roast. While that is roasting, I'm going to go ahead and season my pot as well. I'm going to season with curry powder, garlic powder, and all-purpose seasoning. After about 2 to 5 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and pour in that blended vegetable mixture that we made earlier. We're going to pour that in, and we're going to mix it in until everything is folded in and blended in properly. Next, we're going to start adding in our beef broth that we made from boiling our beef earlier. We're going to go ahead and add, in total I used 2 cups of beef broth, and I just mixed that in, but I did gradually add it in. I didn't add everything all at once. So go ahead and add about half cup each time, fold that in, check the consistency, and then continue add in as needed. Once I have the consistency that I desire, I'm going to go ahead and add in my beef. I'm going to turn my stove down, and I'm going to let that cook. I like my beef to be nice and tender, so I'm going to let that cook down on a low heat for about 35 to 40 minutes. While my beef is stewing down, I'm going to go ahead and start working on my fufu. For my fufu, I'm going to be using cassava. So I'm going to use 3 pieces of cassava. I'm going to go ahead and peel those down and chop them into small pieces to make the blending process better and easier. I'm going to chop those in smaller pieces. I'm going to wash my cassava until the water runs clear. Once the water runs clear, I'm going to start the blending process. I'm going to add my cassava into my blender. I'm going to add about half cup of water. I'm going to blend that each time until all my cassava is blended up. My cassava is all blended up. I'm going to get a medium-sized pot. I'm going to heat that up on a high to medium heat, and then I'm going to pour all my blended cassava in. I'm going to start mixing. Honestly, this is where the real work begins. You're going to stand there and you're going to mix like your life depends on it, and you're going to add water as needed. If you feel as though your fufu is drying out, just add a bit of water and mix that in, fold that in. But it took me about 15 to 20 minutes of really mixing it in for it to come to the consistency that I desire. And once it came to that consistency, I turned my stove on a low heat, and I let that sit for a little while. After about 5 minutes of it being on a lower heat, I just turned my stove off, and my fufu was ready. I got cling wrap, and I just spread it over a plate, portioned my fufu out, and I just wrapped it in the cling wrap, and then it was ready to be served. Once I plated my dinner, this was the final product. I really do hope you guys enjoy this recipe and cooking with me. Let me know how you think I did in the comments below. But until next time, guys, bye.
Plenty.